So this is the Heatmor wood furnace, wood boiler, I guess. There's insulated lines running over down to the house. Gonna give you a quick tour on this. When you open this door, this blower comes on to kind of get rid of any gases here. You can shut this off. Usually it operates, this would probably be the max temperature. When I come out in the morning, if it's been a really cold night, it might be down here or a little bit lower. But so you just pull this handle. This is filled with glycol, and that's the jacket. Sometimes when this has been going, this is kind of still obviously has wood in it. So I fill this up in the morning before I go to work. Fill it up pretty well chock full there, and then usually at night. So you got to be careful when you open this if you see a lot of smoke coming out the top here, because it'll backdraft and actually throw flames out. So you got to be real careful of that. So you can see pretty much here's my system here. I kind of have a bunch of crates of wood behind there, and that's kind of what I've gone through so far. Then that trailer there, so quite a bit. Probably I started this November 4th or so, and it's the end of January here, and I've gone through whatever 25 crates of wood, and crate is pretty much a little more than a face cord. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. I usually leave my gloves in here, and they stay nice and warm, so when I come out to get some of these wood, I don't get all chilled up. Now I cut, these were old water totes here, and I cut the tops off so the snow doesn't get on them. This is a little auger here, and what you do with that is maybe once every month or so I'd take this off, and I'd auger that the ashes out. I'm finding that it kind of helps to have a base of ash, because then it keeps the heat in the furnace a little bit better. So you don't want to have it there to be none. So essentially what we have here is we have this pump, and this constantly is circulating. So it's pulling it out of the jacket, and it's pumping it down, and this is these two lines are coming back and forth from the house, and there's another two here that we can tie in later on. And this is you got to clean that usually in the spring is what I do. So yeah, that pump constantly circulates the glycol through the system, and there's a couple coils inside. I can show you that. And at this point in time, like with tarps and stuff, usually I just throw these on there, and that's pretty good for me. Keeps enough of the snow off so I can just give it a knock, and then there's not a whole lot of snow that's going in the furnace. And when this thing's going, it'll look like an engine. There's a good shot of smoke coming out of there. So you can see right here, these are the lines coming out from the boiler. Now how this works is these are the feed lines. This valve shut off, and these are feeding one of two things. One's feeding the coil for the furnace, and this one's feeding a coil for the hot water. And like, I don't know, I probably couldn't quite hold on to that. So this valve needs to stay shut, and then this is the return, and that's going back. So sometimes in the spring I'll come and crack these valves, but just to make sure everything doesn't seize up. So excuse the mess here. So you can see here, this one is going into this coil. So there's a couple coil and plates, and this is preheating. So the cold water is coming in here, and it's going through this, and hot water is coming out here. So we're preheating our hot water in our hot water tank when that valve is turned off. And then over here you can see we have an oil furnace, an oil tank here. That's our backup. and we have our coil in here. So again, when this turns on, when that turns on, that heats the house. So when this, when the house, we got 2 thermostats. So when the house goes down to a certain point, the oil kicks on. But so far, you know, we're probably 3/4 of the way through the winter maybe, and we haven't really used much oil. I've been eating 100% with the furnace, or with the wood burning furnace. So yeah, there's the coil right in there. So you turn that off. So this is a bit fuller than it normally would be because I filled it a little bit more. But what I do is I'll just rake the coals. Right here, I had to go away for a couple days, so I let the fire die out and the oil furnace kick in. So what I'm doing is just restarting it. So I got a little something trying to start here, and I'm probably just gonna leave it with the fan turned off for a little bit, and come back in a probably 15 minutes, see if there's a good amount of smoke coming out, and then I'll be able to stockpile that up, turn the fan on, and because otherwise it'll just blow the flame out. So right here I've got this where I'm using a bit of oil from my tank. It's not super cold, and I gotta move a bunch of wood around. So one thing you gotta keep in mind is this is running all the time, this pump. So what'll happen is if there's no heat coming out of this, it'll just be pumping colder water through a coil, and your furnace will be blowing that around. So I'm just gonna shut the breaker off for this, and then when I come and use it again, I'll turn the breaker back on and start it up again. This is the inside of the burn box, and essentially there's a grate right in the center. So I'm just gonna go through cleaning all this stuff up, and I'll show you. So what I'm going to do is kind of rake it back and forth to try to get it to knock through the grate. And there's a chamber up here that I'm going to clean out as well. So once you get the first kind of layer broken off, it just kind of falls down there. You can kind of see it nicely. So I kind of do this, and then I'll be able to show you the auger. Once stuff's not falling in there, I'll be able to show you the auger. Okay, so this is the what I was talking about with the access port. So you got to be careful not to do that while the fan's on, while it's running. Obviously, it's the fall there, so it's not super bad. So what I'm gonna go do is heat over here. So you can see these are the grates. So I'm sure you could use that ash or something. I have a bunch of pieces of wood that I burnt that probably have some nails in it, so I gotta be mindful of that. So back and forth doing that a few times. pretty much it cleaned out. Over here, that's all filled with sand, so you don't clean that out. This is the blower, so it fits in that auger tube, and blows right out the top there. See, that's the pile that came out here. Another thing too, while I have this, while I have the power on to check, make sure the blower's good, I've just put my hand on this pump, make sure that's turning. One thing you could do is turn one of these on, and you can see it. The glycol's coming out of there, so it's moving. I had it once where that was seized, and we just had to hit it a few times, and that was good. But the last thing I'm going to do is pop this cover off, and then just clean this out. So it's worth noting there's like a accumulator bag in here. It's almost like a inner tube tire. So what this is like a bag of glycol. So one thing I was told was it's as long as there's glycol in there sloshing around, you don't really have to worry about it too much. And up over top here, there's that little ball. So that little ball, that's the water fill, or not the water, that's a glycol fill. So let's say I've had it where I'm trying to remember how this happens. I almost feel like the fan shuts off, or there's a large cross breeze on the top, and it's pulling out it's creating a vacuum. It's pulling a lot of air, so it boils over, and it'd come out that. So it's not a sealed system, so there's no pressure in the glycol. So in theory, when I open this valve, or when I did open that valve, could be gravity fed too, because it's coming down there. But like for the amount that I opened it, it's not like it would only be dripping very slightly. So that told me that pump's running. That's the bucket on the top. So I put that on once I stopped using this. Once there was heat coming out of there, you could put a cap on there, a rain cap, but it doesn't really, I don't think, make a huge difference. You can see after I took that off how full that is. So probably just before I clean everything out, this is just gonna fall down into that. Box in there. I just don't want to make a huge mess of this whole thing. So that all just falls down in there. So it's coming from that. So that's nice and cleaned out. This is how much ash came out of there at the end of the season. This is how I'm trying to stack my wood now. I got a lot of stuff there. I don't bother splitting. Some of this stuff some of the split stuff I bought, some of the other stuff I'm not even trying to split. I think the year before it was too small. Like, you only need these pieces to get stuff started. This is the inside here. The other thing I might try this year is might try putting some thick steel plates in there to help with thermal mass, so the heat lasts a lot longer. Yeah, other than that, it's a pretty neat setup. And I mean, compared to oil, at least you can shop around and get different prices on wood and whatnot, and you can kind of pick and choose how you want it, and you can choose not even to use it if you don't want to use it. But I kind of think it's kind of neat. So some of this stuff I'll split into, I don't know, 18-20 inches long there, or I'll cut 18-20 inches long and then split it pretty much as big as the opening, or as big as I want to kind of carry it out. This is just a video of how I kind of do some of that. Some of the other crates of wood, I'll buy whatever 10 cords in, but this is how I do some of the stuff around here. The One of the other things I did the year before is I didn't pack these bins. I just had a conveyor feeding them, and they were kind of really loosely packed. So now I'm just trying to really properly pack them, because in theory a bush cord's, or not a bush cord, a face cord's 4 feet high, 12 or 16 inches, I think, by 8 feet long. So in one of these totes, you should be able to get a cord in. If you stack it higher or fill the gap in between, it could be a little bit more than a cord. So I mean, I'm trying to identify how much I put in these bins rather than just filling bins.